Hi everybody, I'm Jack Jinseki, and joining me today is Ryotetsurugi.
Hello, hello.
So Rio, what kind of content do you like to make?
Content wise, I've always been a big fan of like rhythm games, MMOs, stuff like that. Like, mostly my content centralizes on RPGs and fantasy games, stuff like that. But occasionally I do like to play like a lot of rhythm games like Beat Saber or Just Shapes and Beats
Hmm.
or uh, Osu, actually. That also comes to mind.
I've been trying to do some rhythm games too. Uh, I shouldn't I shouldn't be talking about my band life, but I play a tuba, and has four
Ah.
keys, and so I figure maybe it would help me play my tuba if I played a rhythm game that has four keys. And so I've been giving that a try recently, and it's pretty fun. I wouldn't think it would be as fun as it is, but it is.
Yeah, no, like rhythm. There's something about rhythm games that's just like it hits a certain, I guess, certain nerve in my brain that it's just like it gives me that little serotonin boost, you know?
The best way that I can describe it is like there's this moment when you're in the middle of the game, and it's almost as though your brain kind of it gets into the zone, so to speak, and
Yeah, yeah.
you just dial in, and that is what's really nice about the game, is that feeling of just you can't do anything wrong in that very moment.
Oh yeah, that definitely. Especially when you're doing like a really hard map and you're like you get to the moment where you know it's about to get the hardest, and you just like you lock in and you're just like, I got this. I can do
Yes,
this.
yes. Oh, that's cool. It's a really cool feeling. So what made you want to be a VTuber?
It was actually inspiration from multiple people, fellow VTubers. My biggest inspiration was a friend or a person who I found actually on Twitch. Her name was Mizuno or Mizunuko Neko.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she was a small VTuber when she started. Like she started out when VTubers had just like started becoming popular,
Yeah.
and she was a mute streamer, so she couldn't speak in real life. Um, she had she has that physical disability,
Mm-hmm.
but she expressed herself by being a VTuber. She used a text to speech program. She had a very expressive model, and she had a vibrant personality. Even though she couldn't speak, she had just this out of this world personality. She was a huge inspiration for me becoming a VTuber. And watching her grow and watching her interact with people, I was like, I saw it as something maybe I could do one day.
Hmm. That's really cool. Uh, so what was the process for creating your character?
Uh, the process really was gaining inspiration from games that I played and things that I liked. So big inspiration for my character was Final Fantasy 14.
Mm-hmm.
The I had a Makote character, and they were a huge inspiration behind uh, the character that I have now, Ryotetsurugi.
Yeah. uh, so when you're doing your streams, do you find that you speak naturally, or do you have to kind of practice it?
A little bit of both. It depends what I'm doing. I feel like I can talk more naturally, especially like if I have a game in the background,
Mm-hmm.
because the game kind of like I could just talk about the game or nerd out about whatever I'm talking about. But if it's like just chatting or it's just me by myself, I find myself locking up and like trying to find a subject to talk about to be interesting
Yeah.
and try to grab people's attention.
that 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 I can certainly see being a problem. Oh well, we're talking. Well, what are we talking about? Well, there's
Exactly.
it's just me on the screen. There's nothing around me. There's nothing to interact with. What am I gonna
There's
do?
there's only so much I can talk about my day. Most of my days are not really that interesting.
What did I do today? Oh well, I worked. Oh, well, I can fill up 30 minutes with that.
Yeah.
Oh man. So, what was the first anime you ever watched, and what drew you to it?
The first anime that I watched, oh god, as a kid, I think I remember 12-year-old me, was Fairy Tale, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And what drew me to it was on Netflix. They had a trailer for it,
Hmm.
and watching the trailer just blew my mind, because I was just like, this, because I love, even back then I loved fantasy. I was a huge like Lord of the Rings,
Hmm.
uh, and Star Wars fan, so anything sci-fi or fantasy related, I was like hugely into. And then I just see the trailer for Fairy Tale, and I'm like, this is exactly what I like. It's like a medieval fantasy, but with like magic and dragons and all this stuff, and I was instantly drawn into it.
And the other nice thing about it is that the nice thing about the medium is that it has a tendency to dial everything up to 11 all the time.
Exactly, and that was the best part.
So, it's your ideal stream. Who are you inviting on?
That's actually a tough one. I had to think about that for a little bit. Um, Honestly, ideal stream, I would love to one day, if I could. It, it would have to be. It would have to be like out of the blue, out of nowhere. I would love to invite Iron Mouse to a stream, because
Mm-hmm.
uh, I heard that she's Puerto Rican as well, and I'm Puerto Rican. I'm
Oh.
like, we could totally click together, just like talking about being Puerto Rican and being VTubers, and just being like, just talking about all the things that we know and love about our the where we come from. And I'm like, I would love to do a stream of that, just talking about like the history of Puerto Rico, or like the things that we love about Puerto Rico, or just like going back and forth talking in English and Spanish, and just blah 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 all day. That would be, I would love that as an ideal stream, to be honest.
Well, what would you say about Puerto Rico, you think? Do you have any like general ideas what you'd want to say?
Definitely talk about the food. The food there
Mm.
is incredible. 10 out of 10. I always would go back to Puerto Rico just to eat some of the things. Bacalaito, bacalao. They have donuts that they make over there with like a special like uh, dough, and they fill it with Nutella. Oh my god, so good. I can't find them anywhere else. I cannot find them anywhere else. It's only in Puerto Rico, and I will go back there just to get those donuts. Like I would smuggle them here if I could. It's just that good.
That's the darndest thing because I would think that a donut filled with Nutella would be fairly common. Because I mean,
Yeah,
it kind of makes sense intuitively. You have filled donuts and you have the most popular spread in the world.
but
Ah.
I just can't seem to find that like anywhere nearby. Not the way that they made it over there, because again, I
Ah.
don't know what it is about the dough that they use, but it's just there's something special about it. The consistency, the flavor, everything. It's the perfect donut.
Nice. So you're what do you look for in a video game?
I am, and this goes to the back to me loving Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. I'm always a sucker for a good story. Anything
Yeah.
that has a good story, a good background, a good world building, I am all for that. That is like my go-to when it comes to games. Of course, gameplay is nice, but
Yeah.
if it has a good story, I feel like the story can carry even if it's a game with bad gameplay. You know.
Yeah. And are there any video games you're looking forward to?
Final Fantasy 16 or
Hmm.
16 coming out on the PC. Finally, I've been looking forward to that for a long time. I never got a PlayStation 5, never could afford a PlayStation 5. All I have is a PC, so I wanted to play Final Fantasy 16 for the longest time. And now that it's coming to PC, I'm so happy.
I don't know what's going on with these games. I mean, as far as I always thought that exclusives were the bread and butter of consoles. So putting them on PC is like, well, you can get better equipment on a PC than you can on a console.
Yeah, but like I see why they wait for it though, because
Hmm.
it's also because they put it on PC. It's more of an incentive too, especially if they do it through Steam. They can reach so many people
Yeah.
and make a lot more money. You can only make so much money by making it an exclusive title. You know,
Yeah.
there's only so much of an audience you can reach, especially if it's like a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox exclusive. There's only so many people who own a PlayStation 5, and only so many people who own an Xbox. But
Hmm.
then when if you add PC to that, it just branches out to so much more people who would have access to be able to play these games and have fun playing these games too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, me, I've been. There are a few games that I know that were up until recently only console exclusive, and now I'm able to play them for the first time, and it's like, wow, that's quite the that's quite the experience right there.
Yeah, I'm
Per
still holding.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say I was still holding out. I'm still holding out for a Bloodborne PC
Hmm.
port. Like one day, Bloodborne will come to PC and I'll be able to play it in 4K, beautiful glory.
Nice. So, what are your goals for your channel?
I mean, honestly, a big goal now. I already reached one of my goals recently. I got 500 followers. I'm like, that's amazing. I never thought I'd reach that within the year. So I got
Wow.
500 followers on Twitch. So like that's already one big goal of mine that I've already like hit. So now next goal, I guess, is just hit 1,000.
Hey,
Hit 1,000. Try to hit 1,000 followers.
hey, 500 is way more than I've ever achieved. So, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I didn't even realize I had hit 500 because it was like a group of people followed me while I was off stream, and so I hit 500 offline. So when I went to go check, I was like, wait a minute, when did I hit 500? When did this happen?
Do you know, was there like a reason that you suddenly got a whole bunch of subs overnight?
I think it was because a friend shouted me out on their stream, even though
Oh.
I wasn't streaming. They shouted me out, and a whole bunch of people off the stream just went and followed me out of nowhere. And I didn't expect that at all because I was like, I'm not streaming or doing anything right now, so I wasn't expecting any of that.
Out of curiosity, who was it? Can you say?
Their name was oh, they used to go. I was gonna say their old name, but
Oh, okay.
their name is Kaiju Kanajo now.
Ah, that's
They
pretty
used to
cool.
be coffee. They used to be Coffee Kaiju, but now they're Kaiju Kanajo. Maki is what I call her.
Nice. I feel like I might have heard the name before, but I'm not certain. Who knows?
If you want to talk to someone who loves Gundam, anything Gundam based
Mm.
or Godzilla based, she's definitely the VTuber for you.
So, I feel like you probably already answered this question, but let's just check. Who's your favorite VTuber and why?
Yeah, I mean, I have a big list, but my favorite VTuber honestly has to be Mizuno.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Neo. I've seen her since she was again like a tiny VTuber,
Yep.
and I it's been harder to keep up with her now, but she's always been one of my favorite VTubers, and I'm so happy whenever I see her like reach goals or accomplish things because again I remember her when she was just this little baby VTuber who didn't have much, and now to see her grow up to be this big old VTuber with this big personality, it just it makes me happy.
It always feels special when you're on the ground floor for somebody who gets a lot bigger.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like you feel part of something.
Yeah, and I definitely, even though I was like more of a background character, and we chat a lot, I've been a regular there, but it's like seeing that growth. Like I feel like it's kind of like you're kind of like feeling like a dad watching their kid grow up, and you're just like, I remember back in my when you were this tiny and you were doing these things, but look at you now.
So,
You're all grown up. Brings a tear to my eye.
what advice would you give to someone who wants to be an entertainer?
One of my honestly biggest advice personally would be just be yourself. You don't really need to pretend to have like a big personality, or you don't have to pretend to be another person. Sometimes just being yourself, being with friends, laughing it off and joking around, that that human quality in people that attracts others to you. You'll find your crowd, you'll find your people who enjoy what you enjoy as well. Just keep being yourself, and you'll eventually run into those who just vibe with what you like.
Absolutely. So, now I'm moving on to a section which I like to think of sort of like the this or that question. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
which do you prefer, Elvis or the Beatles?
The Beatles.
Hmm.
And it's honestly, for that one, it's not that I love both of their music, but it's just I know a lot more songs from the Beatles than I do from Elvis.
Yes, that is one thing, is that I can go through. Even I'm not a massive Beatles fan, because I know
Mm-hmm.
people who are massive Beatles fan, and I am not a massive Beatles fan. But I can still go through pretty much their entire discography and recognize almost everything. Almost everything they've done has gotten a decent amount of play.
Yeah, yeah.
So it certainly got that going for it. Uh, you're on a boat with friends. Which artist are you listening to?
If I'm on a boat with friends, I'm definitely listening to Imagine Dragons. They're probably one of my favorite artists.
Nice.
And they got a new album recently, actually, called Loom. So I'd be blasting that on a boat for sure. They actually, you know what? One of their songs, literally, it's called "Take Me to the Beach." So I would definitely be blasting that on the boat.
Oh boy. So Robert Downey Jr. or Christian Bale?
Robert Downey Jr. for sure. Not that Christian Bale's again. Not that Christian Bale is bad.
No, 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 no.
Not at all. Christian Bale, wonderful, wonderful actor. Love him. It's just that
Absolutely.
Robert Downey Jr. I recognize him more from more movies and stuff. Besides Marvel, is what I'm saying. I remember when he played uh, oh god, now the name. Jesus, now the name has escaped me. Like literally, it's right on the tip of my tongue.
uh, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yes, that's one I remember that he played in.
Yes, that's a great one. That's a great movie.
That's a great one. That is a great one.
Val Kilmer in it is particularly awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh, the earliest movie I can think of with Robert Downey Jr. is actually was it Back to School, uh, which was a
Oh my
movie.
gosh.
Oh, you know that one?
Yes, I haven't heard about that one in a long time.
Oh, I love that movie. He plays kind of like the disenfranchised best friend
Hmm.
who's got the weird hair and everything. Uh, yeah.
That jeez, oh god, I have to go back and watch that one because it's been forever since.
Oh, it's a great movie, and it's got Rodney Dangerfield, and
Hmm.
I'm kind of a an old fart when it comes to media, so I know all the older stuff, or a lot of the older stuff. Uh, once you get into the black and white realm, that's where it starts getting a little fuzzy. But past that, I know a decent amount.
Uh-huh.
Portal or Call of Duty?
Portal for sure.
Hmm.
I I honestly, that one just boils down to I've never been a huge shooter fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never played a lot of shooter games back then, so my aim is terrible. But with Portal, it's not really about aim; it's more about using your brain. So that's definitely the better choice.
Absolutely. Uh, your friends just dropped in to play video games. What are you playing?
Oh my god, there's so many choices nowadays. It's just like Um, if my friends would drop by and we were just like doing couch co-op, I'd probably play Crawl.
Mm. I'm not too familiar. That's a 3D. Is that a 3D shooter?
No, it is actually a 2D pixel dungeon crawler where your enemies are your friends. So your friends are ghosts that can control the enemies in the dungeon, and one person plays as the hero. And of course, your friend's goal is to try to trip up the hero, kill them, and then whoever kills the hero becomes the hero, and it just a repeated cycle until you get to the end boss.
Huh. That's very unusual.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. It's a great couch co-op game. Like if you're just like inside a house and you just got and your friends are there. I've had such a blast playing that game.
Mhm.
Of course, controllers thrown and people just like having a riot, but it's such a fun game. I could play it over and over and over again, to be honest.
What good is playing with your friends if not to absolutely infuriate them?
Exactly, exactly.
Uh, so, which do you prefer, chess or poker?
That's actually a tough one because on one hand, I really like chess because again, strategy
Mm-hmm.
and like using your brain. But poker is also fun because honestly, poker is also a strategy game.
It, I actually did some thinking about this because I've asked this question to pretty much everyone so far, and I used to think of poker as kind of like a dumb game. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
be smart to play it. But the more I think about it, it's actually kind of different because in chess, everything is totally deterministic. If you lose at chess, it is totally your fault. You need to get good, so they say.
Yeah,
And that's all there is to it. Poker on the other hand, you are given the cards. It's you have very minimal control over what you actually possess, and your goal is to see what you can get other people to do. And so on one hand, chess is about controlling your game, and in poker it's about controlling your opponent's game.
that is a great way to put it. That is definitely a great way to put it. Yeah, and honestly, there's so many more variables in poker, like you said, because chess you lose it's your fault, but in poker there's the random aspect adds to the strategy of the game and makes it like it makes it like you're playing 4D chess against your opponent.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that's really interesting. Uh,
Hmm.
who who's the most beautiful actress of all time?
You know, I was trying to think about this one, but
Hmm.
I couldn't really like. There's so many options out there from older ones to newer ones. But like personally, I've always been a big fan of like Marilyn Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
Marilyn Monroe probably got to be one of the greatest actresses and a really really pretty actress that I've enjoyed seeing.
Yes. I watched her in what's that one? Some Like It Hot.
Something like that, yeah.
Yes, very funny movie. Uh, Home cooked meal or restaurant?
Home cooked meal for sure.
Yeah.
My mom and my family have great recipes that they've taught me and things that I've learned on my own, and nothing beats like a good home cooked meal that you make yourself or that somebody close to you makes, because like there's just that the love that they put into it. Not saying that restaurants don't have that, but because they make the same thing all the time and it's kind of almost in a mass produced sense, it doesn't have that you know
As
personal touch to it.
as someone who has worked the service industry and has made food and prepared food, I can tell you, there's no love. There's pride, but there's no
Yeah,
love.
yeah. So So home. That's why I say home cooked meal because it has that personal taste, that personal touch, that personal love in it that just helps you to appreciate it more.
Yeah. Uh, you're hungry. This is the sort of opposite end of the question. You're hungry, and the only place to eat is a gas station. What do you get?
If I'm going to a gas station, I'm going with the safe option. I'm not having a hot dog for sure. I'm not having a burger from a gas station. I'm probably just gonna try to grab some chips
Yeah.
or some nuts or something like that. Something that's sealed and in a container. Because I don't. I will tell you 100%. I don't trust gas station food. I trust the drinks. They have some good drinks sometimes, but the food, nope, not at all. Not anything I would eat.
Your answer reminds me of something I once heard from Dave Chappelle. He said that when he goes to diners, he will only ask for hard boiled eggs because that way it ensures that nobody touches the food.
That you know what? That is smart. That is very smart.
Yeah. Uh, you're at the mall. What do you make a beeline for?
GameStop, always.
Hmm.
GameStop will ever since that since I was a little kid up until now, GameStop has always been a haven for me for like cool little knickknacks, collectibles, games that I remember from back then, or games that are even I want to get now. Because there's so many different GameStops that have like they cater towards so many different eras. To be honest, you get some GameStops will have a lot of old games. Some GameStops will have a lot of newer games.
Hmm.
But I really like, especially when they have like the nostalgia sections where it's just a whole bunch of like Game Boy games or SNES games or GameCube games. And
Yeah.
it's just like I'm looking at the games and I'm like, I remember when I used to play this. I remember when I was a kid when this came out. And then it just takes me on a trip back.
Oh yeah. It's kind of funny. GameStop has kind of become this generation's version of like the record store where the guy from the 80s would rifle through like the old records.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Have you ever had a sports injury?
Not really. I used to play a lot of soccer when I was younger, but not any lasting injuries or any injuries to the point where like I was in a crutch or anything for a couple of weeks. The most I
Hmm.
got was like a bruise in the leg or like I hit my head.
Yeah.
Especially in soccer, some of those balls come at you very, very fast. And when they hit
Yes.
you in the face, it kind of hurts.
Oh yeah. I got hit in the face with I got hit in the face with the soccer ball. I got hit in the face with the baseball.
Mm,
I was a little kid at the time,
it's,
so the guy pitching was probably going slow enough that it would only just really hurt, but ew. Not fun regardless.
yeah, I was a goalie. So they were always trying to shot put that ball right at me.
They're either going to get a goal or they're going to injure you in the process.
Exactly, exactly. So like they didn't know how to hold back, man. They never held back.
If you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
Japan. Oh, that is always going to be my number one choice.
Ev-
Whenever anyone asks me that question,
I'll tell you what everyone says Japan.
I
Every single
mean,
person says Japan.
can you blame them? There's so
Well,
many great places you can go in Japan. Not just like the city in Japan. Like you, like uh, there's also I love like the rural Japan, especially the shrines and the
mm,
mountainous areas. I want to go like where it's like out in the countryside and see like the beautiful mountains
yes.
and the shrines and maybe go to a hot springs. Who knows? That would be fun. I think that'd be great.
I would love to see Japan. Heck, I would love to live in Japan. I don't care if they make fun of me. I would love to live in Japan.
Yeah, no, same. I would love to live in Japan. If I could just like pack everything right now, get a job, move over to Japan, I would do that in a heartbeat. No questions asked.
Oh man, that would be crazy. Uh, do you drive?
Yes, yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I used to be a delivery driver, so I drove a
Ah,
lot.
wow. So which of your cars was your favorite?
My Toyota Corolla, 2013 Toyota Corolla.
Nice. I actually drive one of those now. I
Really?
Yeah, I had to buy a new one this year.
Yeah, Corolla. A Corolla is a very sturdy car. Very, very
Yes.
sturdy car. It is going to last you forever as long as you treat it well and right.
I was driving an '07 Camry,
Oh.
and then that one, the bottom rusted through. So
Oh,
yeah, because
that's a shame.
I'm from New England, and that's just what happens here. Uh,
Mm.
you get the road salts and all that. Um,
Ah.
then I had to look for a used car, and then I realized, oh my god, a used car with 100,000 miles on it is $18,000, or I can buy a brand new car for $20,000.
Yeah, I don't know which one sounds like a better choice.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but regardless.
Hmm. No,
uh,
for real.
uh, Hold on. Do you have any superstitions?
Mm. I wouldn't say I'm very superstitious per
Hmm.
se. I mean, I grew up with Christian parents in a household. I do believe in like angels and demons, and
Mm-hmm.
that demons could like try to like I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe that that demons can come and try to act like ghosts to try to get people in trouble.
Hmm.
But that's just a personal belief.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I'm like super superstitious. I think most things have a probable cause behind it. Even if some people just immediately jump to ghosts, it's probably like, nah, there's probably something like there's an actual reason behind it, something scientific, something with hard proof. Most times.
I think that most people are of like the general idea that, oh well, this is all total nonsense, but then
Hmm.
they're like, but just to be sure,
Yeah, just in
just
case,
in case.
maybe.
uh, did I ask you, you find $20 in the street? Did I ask you that one yet?
No, you haven't.
I accidentally skipped over it. You find $20 in the street, what do you buy with it?
If I had $20, I'd buy myself just a good like sandwich. To be honest,
Hmm.
because if there's one thing that I love eating is a good sandwich or a good burger.
What kind of sandwich?
It would probably be like either a club sandwich or a Cuban sandwich, because Cuban sandwiches, especially if you can get one from like a street vendor or like a
Oh,
food truck, oh my god, they're so good,
I
so good.
I love Cuban sandwiches. I love the way
Yes.
it like the pressed one with the toasted.
Hmm.
Oh God,
Oh my god, so good.
yes. I want a Cuban sandwich now. What's the latest you ever stayed at a party?
Latest I stayed at a party. I mean, heck, I went to a party and I stayed until like 6 in the morning. I think it was because we were having a blast, having a good time, drinking. Time went by before I knew it. It was 6 a.m. and I was like, I should probably go home.
uh, Speaking of which, do you ever get lost while going home?
I would have to have driven pretty far to get lost going home. To be honest. I'm like once I'm in a environment that I'm familiar with, it's like I can just like I know immediately where to go. But
Hmm.
if it's like I drove from one city back home, I could definitely very easily get lost.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Around here we have Boston, and Boston. It doesn't matter how good you are at directions. If you don't know everything about the city, you will get lost.
I'm used to the I guess the Hispanic way of giving directions. It's like the third palm tree on the left. If you go past it, if you see a church, you've gone too far. It's like all the little landmarks. They always I always thought using landmarks in order to find your way around places. So like I'm good at like finding landmarks and remembering where specific objects are.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of that stuff around here. It's just trees. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, what I would do is actually, if I found a place, I would analyze the route using Google Street Maps. So I would go to like the turn and I would look at the actual photo of the turn and memorize it that way.
Yeah.
Do you collect anything?
I well, sometimes I have little Funko Pops. I don't have many of them, but I have little
Hmm.
Funko Pops that I've been collecting.
Any examples?
I have a bunch of Dragon Ball Funko Pops. Like I have Cell, I have Goku Ultra Instinct, I have Goku Super Saiyan, I have Gohan, Piccolo. Um, I was having my eye on a Super Saiyan Rose Goku
Hmm.
one. Like I love Dragon Ball as a whole in anime. So like I love collecting the little Dragon Ball Funko Pops.
Dragon Ball has been the most popular recurring theme on this interview show so far. Everybody has loved Dragon Ball. Uh, People do like they one of the first interviews I did with the guy named Shin. He does videos that analyze this mobile game called Dokkan Battle, and
Oh my goodness, Dokkan Ball. Oh, don't get me
yes.
started on that one.
And then just everybody loves Dragon Ball, and it's a nice show. I actually watched all the way through Dragon Ball Z, and I'm getting started on Super right now. I think it is. So yeah, it's it's really interesting that is like the focal point for so many people.
Honestly, Dragon Ball. I feel like Dragon Ball just unites people
Mm.
because it's just such a popular anime. Like, if you go, if you go to Mexico or to the Caribbeans,
Mm-hmm.
Dragon Ball is such a culture there.
Hmm.
Like, it's everywhere, everywhere. They got food trucks named after Dragon Ball. They have
Yep.
places named after Dragon Ball characters. They have art, like street art of Dragon Ball characters everywhere. I'm like, oh my god, they turned Dragon Ball into like, it is like they took Dragon Ball and made it for their country, and I'm like, that is, I love it. That's great.
I, it's funny you mentioned that. When I went to New York City, one of the things that stuck out to me was a food truck that was Dragon Ball themed.
Yeah, actually, where I live right now, there is a ramen place called Super Saiyan, and it is a Dragon Ball. They have like life size statues of some of the characters, Frieza, Vegeta, and Goku, and the English VA for Frieza
Yep.
actually signed the Frieza statue. They
Nice.
went there and signed the Frieza statue, so it has their signature on the head of Frieza.
Yeah. Who's your favorite Dragon Ball villain? Would you say?
Oh my god, that's a tough one, but it honestly, I loved Cell
Hmm.
as a villain because he was a very cold, calculating, and like fun villain. Like
Yes.
Cell was one of the few villains that I felt like the main characters were not safe. You
Yeah.
know, like anyone could have died to Cell, or like he had such that cold, calculating aura about him. It felt like he was always a threat and a danger, no matter where he was.
I always liked Frieza because he's just a massive turd. He's just such a jerk. He is totally irredeemable. He is He's just awful, but he's such a jerk that I kind of like him regardless.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of people are the same way. They love Frieza because he's that high school bully level of petty,
Yes, he's very
but
petty.
like he's so petty, but it's like he's just got this lovable aspect about him because he's a villain and he loves it. And that's like he he is so himself that it's great. It's amazing. Like you can never convince him to do anything else.
Yes.
He loves the villain role. He lives the villain role. He will be a villain till the day he dies.
And finally, what smell reminds you of home?
If if you ever if anyone ever starts making rice or starts cooking like fish, cod especially,
Mm-hmm.
instantly takes me back home.
Nice.
It's like I'm back home, I'm at the table, mom just made rice and beans, we're gonna have some arroz con habichuela, maybe some bistec, and I am ready to eat.
Nice. Oh, well, that's all I have for questions. Thank you very much for coming out like this. I do appreciate it. Uh, it has been a pleasure interviewing you, and if you're interested, if you in the audience are interested, there will be a link to Rio's Twitch channel in the description of this video, and be sure to also follow him on Twitter. There'll be a link to his Twitter as well. So, uh, Rio, once again, thank you for coming out.
I thank you for this opportunity for the interview. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed myself.
This was fun. And with that, I was your host, Jack Jinseki. And with me is Rio. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Or good day. Or
Good day. Good
because this
night.
is
Wherever you are.
yeah. Bye bye.